Hello, everyone. Welcome to Onyx Shadowing English, where we bring you inspiring stories to help you learn English step by step. Today, I'll share the story of Lynn, a young woman on an incredible journey to improve her English. Lynn started with many challenges, like feeling shy and translating everything in her head, but through hard work and practice, she changed her life. This story is full of useful tips and motivation for anyone learning English. So sit back, listen closely, and let's follow Lynn's amazing journey together. Chapter 1: Lynn's Challenge: The Language Problem. Lynn Pham was 24 years old. She lived in Hanoi, a big city in Vietnam. Lynn worked as a graphic designer at an international company. Her company had many workers from other countries, and they all spoke English in the office. For Lynn, English was not easy. She learned it in school, but she always spoke Vietnamese at home and with her friends. When she was a child, Lynn thought English was just a school subject. She did not think she would need it so much in her adult life. At work, Lynn had a big problem with speaking English. Every time someone asked her a question, she needed to think first in Vietnamese. After that, she translated her thoughts into English in her mind. Then, she said it out loud. This took a long time. Sometimes, Lynn was so nervous that she could not find the right English words. For example, one day her manager asked her in English, "What do you think about this design?" Lynn knew the answer in her head, but she could not say it quickly. While Lynn was thinking, everyone in the meeting looked at her. She felt very shy and uncomfortable. At work, many of Lynn's colleagues spoke English very well. They talked fast and had no problem sharing their ideas. Lynn wanted to be like them. She wanted to share her ideas too. But the more she tried to speak, the more nervous she became. Her English sentences came out slow and sometimes wrong. Lynn often went home feeling sad. She thought, "Why can't I speak English like them? Maybe I am not smart enough. Maybe I will never get better." These negative thoughts made Lynn feel worse. She started to think that she was not good at her job, even though she was a very talented graphic designer. One day, the company held an important meeting with a foreign client. The client spoke only English. Lynn's manager told her, "Please explain your design idea to the client." Lynn became very nervous. She wanted to do a good job, but the words didn't come out right. She tried her best, but the client didn't understand her explanation. After the meeting, Lynn's manager spoke to her in private. "Lynn, your design was excellent," the manager said, "but you need to work on your English speaking skills. It is very important for your career." These words made Lynn think a lot. She was sad because she felt she disappointed her manager, but she also felt determined. Lynn said to herself, "I must get better. I will improve my English so I can succeed at work." And so Lynn decided to change. She didn't know how, but she promised herself that she would find a way to speak English faster and more confidently. Chapter 2: A Wake-Up Call. Advice from the Boss. Lynn felt sad after the meeting with the client. She sat at her desk and thought about what had happened. Her design idea was good, but her English was not good enough to explain it clearly. The client looked confused, and her manager had to help her finish the explanation. After the meeting, Lynn's manager came to talk to her. He looked calm and friendly, but his words were serious. He said, "Lynn, your design was excellent. The client liked it, but your English needs improvement. You need to speak more clearly and confidently in English. This is very important for your work." Lynn felt embarrassed and nervous. She looked at her manager and nodded. "Yes, I understand." she said quietly. Inside, Lynn felt disappointed in herself. She thought, why is English so hard for me? I know the grammar. I know the words. But when I speak, it feels so slow and difficult. That evening, Lynn went home and thought about the manager's advice. She felt confused. She didn't know how to improve her English speaking. She had learned English in school, but it was different from speaking in real life. Lynn was afraid. She thought, what if I can never improve? What if I can never speak English well? Lynn decided to call her best friend, Mai. She needed someone to talk to. When Mai answered the phone, Lynn told her everything. I feel so bad, Lynn said. My manager wants me to speak English better, but I don't know how to do it. I feel like I am not good enough. Mai listened carefully. When Lynn finished speaking, Mai said, Lynn, don't give up. I know you can do it. You are smart and hardworking. You just need a plan. Lynn thought about Mai's words. A plan, she repeated in her head. Maybe Mai was right. Maybe she just needed to find a way to practice her English every day. The next morning, Lynn went to work, but her thoughts were busy. She kept thinking about her problem with English. She also thought about her manager's advice and Mai's support. Finally, during her lunch break, Lynn opened her notebook. She wrote at the top of the page, My plan to improve my English. Under the title, she made a list of her problems. I feel shy when I speak English. I think in Vietnamese first, then translate to English. I don't know enough words to speak clearly. I don't speak English fast enough. Lynn looked at her list and felt nervous. But she also felt a small hope inside her heart. She told herself, I can change this. I can find a way to solve these problems. After work, Lynn went to the bookstore. She bought a small notebook for writing new English words. She also bought a book of simple English stories. The cashier at the bookstore spoke to her in English. Do you need a bag? Lynn felt surprised, but quickly said, No, thank you. It was a short sentence, but it made her feel a little more confident. That evening, Lynn sat at her desk at home. She opened her new notebook and wrote, Day 1. She decided to start with something small. She looked around her room and thought, how do I say this in English? She wrote simple sentences in her notebook. My desk is brown. The lamp is on my desk. I have 2 books on the shelf. Lynn read her sentences out loud. Her voice was quiet, but she felt proud. It was a small step, but it was the start of her journey. The next day, Lynn woke up early. She wanted to listen to an English podcast while eating breakfast. She searched for a simple podcast about daily life. The speaker said, Good morning. Today we will talk about things you do at home. Lynn listened carefully and repeated some sentences. When she went to work, she tried to use one new English word during a meeting. The word was idea. She said, This is my idea for the new design. Her voice was still a little quiet, but her colleagues smiled at her. They looked happy that Lynn was trying. Every day, Lynn practiced a little more. She listened to English, wrote in English, and spoke in English. Sometimes it was hard, and sometimes she made mistakes. But Lynn told herself, it's okay to make mistakes. The important thing is to keep trying. Lynn did not feel confident yet, but she had started her journey. She believed that step by step, she could become better at speaking English. Chapter 3, Small Changes, Big Beginnings. Lynn wanted to change. She wanted to become better at English. But where could she start? The idea of improving her English felt big and scary. Lynn thought, I can't do everything at once. I need to take small steps. Lynn remembered her best friend Mai's advice. You need a plan. So one evening, Lynn sat at her desk with a notebook and a pen. She wrote, "My plan to speak better English." Under the title, Lynn made a list of things she could try. She kept the ideas simple. Change my environment to English. Practice speaking English every day. Learn new words and sentences. Don't be afraid of mistakes. When Lynn finished the list, she felt a little more confident. It was not a big plan, but it was a start. Lynn smiled to herself. She thought, if I do a little every day, I can improve. Step 1, an English environment. The first thing Lynn did was change her surroundings. She set her phone and computer to English. At first, it felt strange to see words like settings and notifications instead of kaidat and thongbao, but Lynn got used to it after a few days. She realized this small change helped her see and read English more often. Next, Lynn decided to listen to English every day. She found an easy podcast about daily life. Every morning, while eating breakfast, Lynn played the podcast. The speaker talked slowly and used simple words. Sometimes, Lynn repeated the sentences out loud. For example, when the speaker said, "Today I went to the park," Lynn said the same words. Lynn also started watching English movies and TV shows without subtitles. At first, it was very hard. She could only understand a few words, but she kept trying. Slowly, Lynn began to understand more. She even started to enjoy the shows. Step 2, talking to herself. The second step in Lynn's plan was speaking English every day. But who could she talk to? Lynn didn't have many friends who spoke English, so she decided to talk to herself. At home, Lynn practiced by describing what she was doing. For example, when she was cooking dinner, she said, "I am cutting vegetables. Now I am frying the vegetables." When she cleaned her room, she said, "I am making my bed. I am picking up my clothes." At first, Lynn felt silly. She laughed at herself and thought, "I am talking to nobody." But over time, she got used to it. Talking to herself helped her think in English. Lynn also used English when she wrote in her journal. Every night before bed, she wrote simple sentences about her day. For example, "Today was sunny. I went to the market and bought some fruit. I listened to an English podcast." Writing helped Lynn practice making sentences. It was slow at first, but she improved a little every day. Step 3, learning new words. Lynn knew that learning new words was important. She bought a small notebook and called it her word book. Every day, she wrote 3 new English words in the notebook. She also wrote their meanings in Vietnamese. For example, one day Lynn learned these words: design, thiết kế, idea, ý tưởng, project, dự án. Lynn didn't just write the words. She also made sentences with them. She wrote, "I like this design. I have an idea for the project." Lynn read the words and sentences out loud. She tried to use the new words in her thoughts and conversations. Step 4, no fear of mistakes. The last step in Lynn's plan was the hardest. She needed to stop being afraid of mistakes. Lynn thought about her time at school. She remembered how nervous she felt when the teacher asked her to speak English. She was always afraid of saying the wrong words. Lynn told herself, "It's okay to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes when they learn something new. The important thing is to try." When Lynn practiced at home, she didn't worry about grammar. She focused on saying her ideas. If she made a mistake, she just laughed and tried again. Small steps, big progress. After a few weeks, Lynn began to notice a difference. She felt a little more confident when she spoke English. She could answer simple questions more quickly. She still made mistakes, but she didn't feel as scared. One day, Lynn's coworker asked her, "How was your weekend?" Lynn smiled and said, "It was good." I went to the park. The sentence was simple, but it came out naturally. Lynn felt proud of herself. She thought, I still have a lot to learn, but I am on the right path. Lynn's journey to speak better English had just started, but she was ready to keep going. Chapter 4, A Breakthrough Moment. Lynn had been working hard on her plan to improve her English. Every day, she practiced a little more. She listened to English podcasts in the morning, talked to herself in English during the day, and wrote simple sentences in her journal at night. At first, Lynn's progress was slow. Sometimes she still felt nervous when speaking English at work. She sometimes made mistakes and worried about what others thought. But Lynn reminded herself, it's okay to make mistakes. The important thing is to keep trying. Then one day, something amazing happened. A surprise in the team meeting. It was a regular Monday morning at work. Lynn and her team had a meeting to discuss a new design project. The manager looked at Lynn and asked her a question. Lynn, what do you think about this idea? For a moment, Lynn froze. She could feel her heart beating fast. What should I say? She thought. But this time something felt different. Lynn didn't think in Vietnamese first. Instead, she thought directly in English. She took a deep breath and said, I think this idea is good. It can make the design look more modern. Everyone in the room looked at Lynn and smiled. Her manager nodded and said, Thank you, Lynn. That's a good point. Lynn felt a wave of relief and happiness. It was a short sentence, but she had spoken it clearly and confidently. She didn't need to stop and translate from Vietnamese. For the first time, she felt like she could really communicate in English. Practice pays off. After the meeting, Ling thought about what had happened. She realized that all her practice was starting to work. Listening to podcasts, writing in her journal, and talking to herself were helping her think in English more naturally. Lynn felt proud of herself. She thought, I am not perfect yet, but I am getting better. I can do this. That evening, Lynn decided to challenge herself. She had a big presentation coming up at work. The idea of speaking in front of many people made her nervous, but she wanted to try. She told herself, if I prepare well, I can do it. Preparing for the big presentation. Lynn spent the next few days preparing for her presentation. First, she wrote all her ideas in English. She used simple sentences so she could remember them easily. For example, this design is for young people. The colors are bright and happy. It is easy to use on a phone. Next, Lynn practiced speaking her presentation out loud. She stood in front of a mirror and pretended to talk to her coworkers. At first, she felt silly, but it helped her feel more comfortable. Lynn also recorded herself speaking. She listened to the recordings and noticed where she could improve. For example, she practiced saying hard words like creative and effective until they felt easier. Finally, Lynn practiced with her friend Mai. Mai listened and gave her feedback. You are doing great, Lynn, Mai said. Just speak a little louder and you will be perfect. The presentation day. The day of the presentation arrived. Lynn felt nervous, but she also felt ready. She had practiced many times, and she knew what to say. When it was her turn, Lynn stood in front of the room. She looked at her coworkers and took a deep breath. Then she began to speak. Good morning, everyone. Today, I will talk about my design idea. As Lynn continued her presentation, she felt more confident. The words came out naturally, and she didn't need to stop and think. She showed her slides and explained her ideas clearly. When Lynn finished, everyone clapped. Her manager said, Great job, Lynn. Your presentation was clear and professional. Lynn felt a warm glow of pride. She thought, I did it. I really did it. A new beginning. After the presentation, Lynn's confidence grew. She realized that learning English was not just about studying grammar or memorizing words. It was about practicing, making mistakes, and trying again. Lynn still had a lot to learn, but she was excited for the future. She thought, this is just the beginning. I can improve even more. From that day on, Lynn believed in herself. She knew that with hard work and patience, she could reach her goals. Chapter 5, Challenges. Return Lynn was feeling proud of herself after her big presentation. For the first time, she had spoken English in front of a group without feeling too nervous. Her manager and coworkers said nice things about her work, and this gave Lynn more confidence. She thought, I am getting better every day. But learning a language is not always easy. Even though Lynn was improving, she still faced challenges. Some days were harder than others. Tired days. One evening, Lynn came home from work feeling very tired. It was a long day with many meetings and projects. She wanted to practice her English, but her brain felt slow and heavy. She thought, I will just take a break today. The next morning at work, Lynn's coworker asked her a question in English, but Lynn felt too tired to think. Her mind went back to Vietnamese, and she struggled to find the right English words. She said a few simple sentences, but they didn't make sense. After the conversation, Lynn felt frustrated. She thought, why do I forget everything when I'm tired? Will I ever really speak English fluently? Fast talkers. Lynn also had trouble understanding people who spoke English very fast. One day, a new coworker from the United States joined Lynn's team. His name was Mark, and he spoke very quickly. During their first conversation, Mark said, Hi, Lynn. Nice to meet you. I'm so excited to work with you. By the way, do you know where the break room is? I need to grab some coffee before the meeting. Lynn could only catch a few words like Lynn and coffee. She didn't understand the full sentence. She smiled nervously and said, Yes, coffee. Mark looked confused but smiled back. Lynn felt embarrassed. She thought, I don't understand fast English. How will I work with Mark? Finding a solution. Even though Lynn felt frustrated, she didn't want to give up. She reminded herself that it was normal to have challenges when learning a language. She thought, what can I do to fix these problems? Lynn decided to make two changes to her plan. First, she started writing new English words in her notebook every day. If she heard a new word at work, she wrote it down. Then, at home, she looked up the meaning and practiced using the word in a sentence. For example, when Mark said break room, Lynn didn't understand the word at first. Later, she wrote it in her notebook and learned that it means a place where workers can take a break. Lynn practiced saying, I'm going to the break room for coffee. The second change Lynn made was practicing listening to fast English. She found a new podcast with faster speakers. At first, it was hard to understand, but Lynn listened carefully and repeated the sentences. She also watched movies where the characters talked quickly. Sometimes she paused the movie and wrote down the sentences to practice later. A special moment. One night, Lynn went to bed feeling very tired. She had worked hard all day and practiced her English for an hour before sleeping. As she lay in bed, she thought, I hope I can learn faster. I want to speak English like a native speaker someday. That night, something amazing happened. Lynn had a dream, and in the dream, she was speaking English. She dreamed she was at a coffee shop ordering a drink. She said, Can I have a latte, please? The barista smiled and gave her the coffee. When Lynn woke up, She felt surprised and happy. She thought, I dreamed in English. That means my brain is learning to think in English. This moment gave Lynn new hope. She realized that her hard work was helping her grow, even when it felt slow or difficult. Taking it slow, Lynn learned an important lesson. It was okay to take small steps. Learning English was not something she could do perfectly in one day or even 1 year. It was a long journey. She decided to be patient with herself. When she felt tired, she took a short break and then returned to her practice later. When she didn't understand fast English, she asked the speaker to repeat or speak more slowly. Lynn's coworker Mark noticed her effort. One day he said, "Lynn, your English is getting better. You're working so hard and it shows." Lynn felt proud of herself. She smiled and said, "Thank you, Mark. I still have more to learn, but I will keep trying." Never giving up. Even though Lynn still had challenges, she didn't give up. She remembered her first day at work when speaking English felt impossible. Now she could see how far she had come. She thought, I still make mistakes, but I am not afraid anymore. Every day I get a little better. Lynn's journey was not easy, but she knew that with hard work and a positive attitude, she could achieve her goals. Chapter 6. Overcoming New Challenges. Lynn was making good progress with her English. She practiced every day and felt more confident at work. She could answer questions and give her ideas in meetings. Her coworkers and manager noticed her improvement, and they often said nice things to her. But Lynn still had new challenges to face. Sometimes, when she was tired or under pressure, her English became slower. On those days, she felt frustrated. She thought, why is this still so hard for me? Will I ever really master English? When the mind is tired, one Friday evening, after a long week of work, Lynn joined her team for dinner at a restaurant. Everyone was speaking English and laughing together. Lynn wanted to join the conversation, but she was very tired. Her manager asked her, Lynn, what are your weekend plans? Lynn knew the question, but her brain felt slow. She started to say something in Vietnamese by mistake, then stopped herself. After a long pause, she said, relax at home. Her sentence was simple, but she felt embarrassed. She thought, I should say more. I want to say more, but my mind is too tired. Understanding fast English. Another challenge for Lynn was understanding fast speakers. Some of her coworkers spoke English very quickly, using difficult words or slang. One day her teammate Sarah said, Lynn, do you want to grab some lunch together? There's a new spot down the road with awesome deals. Lynn only understood parts of the sentence, lunch and road. She smiled nervously and said, Yes, okay. At lunch, Sarah talked quickly about the project they were working on. Lynn tried her best to keep up, but she couldn't understand everything. She nodded and said, Yes, or that's good, but she felt lost. Making a new plan, Lynn thought about her challenges and decided to add new steps to her plan. She told herself, I will not give up. I will find a way to improve. The first thing Lynn did was keep a small notebook with her at all times. When she heard a new word or phrase, she wrote it down. For example, after lunch with Sarah, Lynn wrote, wanna equals want to, spot equals place, awesome is great. At home, she looked up the words in her dictionary. She practiced saying them in sentences. Do you want to go to the park? This is a nice spot for coffee. That movie was awesome. The second thing Lynn did was watch videos with fast speakers. She chose short videos about topics she liked, such as design and art. Lynn watched the videos many times. At first, she couldn't understand much, but after a few days, she recognized more words. She paused the video to write down important phrases and practice saying them out loud. Staying positive. Lynn also worked on staying positive. She knew it was easy to feel frustrated when learning a language. She reminded herself, it's okay to feel tired. It's okay to make mistakes. I am learning, and that is what matters. One evening, after a long day at work, Lynn wrote in her journal, "Today I was tired, but I still tried my best. I didn't understand everything, but I learned new words. Tomorrow, I will try again." Writing these sentences made Lynn feel better. She remembered that learning English was a journey, not a race. A special milestone. One night, Lynn had another dream. This time, she dreamed about talking to a friend at the park. In her dream, she spoke English easily and didn't need to think about the words. When Lynn woke up, she felt happy. She thought, this is a good sign. My brain is getting used to English. At work, Lynn noticed more small victories. One day, her fast-talking coworker Sarah asked, "How's the project going?" Lynn answered quickly, "It's going well. I finished my part yesterday." Sarah smiled and said, "Great. You're doing amazing, Lynn." Lynn felt proud. She thought, I am understanding more. I am getting better little by little. The road ahead. Even though Lynn still had hard days, she didn't give up. She knew that learning English was not just about words or grammar. It was also about patience and effort. Lynn thought, every mistake I make is a chance to learn. Every new word I learn brings me closer to my goal. She decided to keep practicing, even when it felt difficult. She knew that with time and hard work, she could overcome any challenge. Chapter 7. A New Confidence. Lynn was starting to feel more confident about her English. She had worked hard every day, listening to English, writing in her journal, talking to herself, and learning new words. These small steps helped her improve, and she could see the results. At work, Lynn spoke more during meetings. She shared her ideas with her team, even when she wasn't sure her sentences were perfect. Her manager and coworkers noticed her effort. They often said, "Great job, Lynn," or "You're improving so much." These words made her feel happy and proud. But Lynn's biggest moment of confidence came when she helped someone else, helping a new friend. One day, Lynn met a new coworker named Anna. Anna was from Indonesia and had just started working at the company. Like Lynn, Anna was learning English. She spoke slowly and sometimes made mistakes. During lunch, Lynn saw Anna sitting alone. Lynn decided to sit with her. She smiled and said, "Hi, Anna. Can I sit here?" Anna looked up and smiled back. "Yes, of course," she said. The two women started talking. Anna said, "I am nervous about my English. Sometimes I don't know the words." Lynn nodded. She understood exactly how Anna felt. She said, "Don't worry, Anna. I had the same problem, but I practiced every day. You will get better too." Anna looked relieved. She said, "Really? What did you do to practice?" Lynn told Anna about her plan. She said, "I listen to English podcasts. I write about my day in English. And I talk to myself in English, even if nobody is there." Anna laughed. She said, "That's a good idea. I will try it." Lynn felt happy. She thought, I was nervous about my English before, but now I can use my experience to help someone else. Learning together. After that day, Lynn and Anna became friends. They often practiced English together. At lunch, they spoke in English instead of their native languages. When one of them didn't know a word, they tried to explain it or looked it up in a dictionary. For example, one day Anna didn't know the word schedule. She asked Lynn, "What does schedule mean?" Lynn thought for a moment. Then she said, "It is a plan. It shows what you will do and when you will do it." Anna said, "Ah, I see. Thank you, Lynn." Practicing together helped both of them improve. It also made them feel less shy about making mistakes. A challenge at work. One week, Lynn's manager gave her a new challenge. He said, "Lynn, I want you to lead the team meeting next Monday. Can you do it?" Lynn felt nervous. She had never led a meeting before, especially in English, but she also felt excited. This was her chance to show how much she had improved. She said, "Yes, I can do it." Over the weekend, Lynn prepared carefully for the meeting. She wrote down what she wanted to say using simple English. She practiced her sentences in front of a mirror. She also asked Anna to listen to her and give feedback. On Monday, Lynn stood in front of her team. She smiled and said, "Good morning, everyone. Today I will lead the meeting. Let's start." As the meeting went on, Lynn felt more confident. She shared her ideas clearly and asked her teammates for their opinions. Everyone listened and participated. When the meeting ended, her manager said, "Great job, Lynn. You were very clear and organized." Lynn felt proud. She thought, "A few months ago, I could not even answer a simple question in English. Now I can lead a meeting." Sharing her journey. After the meeting, some of Lynn's coworkers asked her how she improved her English so quickly. Lynn was happy to share her story. She said, "I made a plan and practiced every day. It's not easy, but it's possible if you don't give up." Her coworkers were inspired. One of them said, "Lynn, you should teach a class. You are so good at helping others." Lynn laughed, but the idea stayed in her mind. She thought, "Maybe I can help more people. I know how hard it is to learn English. If I can do it, they can too." Building confidence, step by step. Lynn still had challenges, but now she saw them as opportunities to learn. She knew that every mistake she made helped her grow. Every word she learned brought her closer to her goal. She thought about her journey so far. She remembered how shy and nervous she was in the beginning. Now, she was speaking in meetings, helping her friends, and feeling proud of herself. Lynn smiled and thought, "This is just the beginning. There is so much more I can do." Chapter 8. Inspiring Others. Lynn felt proud of how much she had improved her English. She remembered the days when she was too shy to speak, worried that people would laugh at her mistakes. Now she could share her ideas in meetings, talk to her coworkers, and even help others learn English. Her hard work and determination were paying off. One day, Lynn's manager came to her desk with a smile. "Lynn," he said, "we are organizing a workshop for our team next month. The topic is communication skills. I think you would be a great person to speak about improving English." Lynn's eyes widened. "Me? Speak at a workshop?" she asked. Her manager nodded. "Yes, you've made amazing progress with your English. You can inspire others to do the same. What do you think?" Lynn felt nervous but also excited. She thought, "This is my chance to help more people. I can share my story and show them that it's possible to improve." Finally, she said, "I would love to do it. Thank you for trusting me." Preparing for the workshop. Over the next few weeks, Lynn prepared for her presentation. She wanted to make it simple and clear so everyone could understand. She decided to talk about three things: her struggles with English, her plan to improve, and the lessons she learned along the way. Lynn wrote down her main points on a piece of paper. Struggles: feeling shy, translating in my head, and making mistakes. Plan: listening, speaking, writing, and learning new words every day. Lessons: don't give up, practice daily, and don't be afraid of mistakes. She also included some tips for learning English, such as watch movies without subtitles, write a journal in English, talk to yourself about your day in English, Every evening, Lynn practiced her speech at home. She stood in front of a mirror and spoke slowly and clearly. Sometimes she recorded herself and listened to the recording. She corrected any sentences that didn't sound right. Lynn also asked her friend Anna to listen to her speech. After Lynn finished, Anna clapped and said, "That was amazing, Lynn. You will do great at the workshop." The big day. On the day of the workshop, Lynn felt both nervous and excited. She stood in front of the room, holding her notes. Her coworkers and manager were sitting in the audience, smiling and waiting for her to begin. Lynn took a deep breath and started her presentation. "Good morning, everyone," she said. "Today, I want to share my journey of learning English." As Lynn spoke, she shared stories about her struggles. She told the audience how she used to feel shy and afraid to speak English. She explained how she made a plan and practiced every day. She said, "It was not easy, but little by little, I got better. If I can do it, you can do it too." The audience listened carefully. They nodded and smiled as Lynn talked about her tips and advice. When she finished, they clapped loudly. After the workshop, several coworkers came up to Lynn. One of them said, "Your story is so inspiring, Lynn. Thank you for sharing." Another said, "I will try your method to improve my English." Lynn felt happy and proud. She thought, "This is why I wanted to do this. If I can help even one person, it's worth it." Becoming a role model. After the workshop, more people at Lynn's company asked her for advice about learning English. Lynn was happy to help. She started having small practice sessions with her coworkers during lunch breaks. One coworker, Min, said, "Lynn, I never thought I could learn English well, but after hearing your story, I believe I can. Will you help me practice?" Lynn smiled and said, "Of course, Min. Let's practice together." She also shared her favorite resources, such as podcasts, apps, and websites. She encouraged her coworkers to set small goals, like learning 3 new words each day or speaking English for 5 minutes with a friend. Lynn noticed that helping others gave her even more confidence. She thought, "I used to feel so lost with English, but now I am helping others find their way. This is an amazing feeling." Looking to the future, Lynn started thinking about how she could help even more people. She remembered her own journey, the fear, the mistakes, the hard work, and the success. She thought, "There are so many people like me who are afraid of learning English. Maybe I can help them too." She had an idea. What if she organized workshops for people in her community? She could share her story, teach simple methods for learning English, and give them the confidence to start their own journeys. Lynn decided to talk to her manager about her idea. She said, "I want to organize a workshop for people outside the company. Maybe we can invite students or young professionals." Her manager smiled and said, "That's a great idea, Lynn. Let's make it happen." Inspiring change. Lynn's journey with English was not just about learning a language. It was also about growing as a person. She learned to be brave, to believe in herself, and to help others. She thought, "If I can change my life by learning English, maybe I can help others change theirs too." Lynn was excited for the future. She knew there would always be new challenges, but she also knew that she was strong enough to face them. Her journey was far from over, but she was ready for whatever came next. Chapter 9. A Dream Takes Shape. Lynn's life had changed a lot since she started learning English. She felt more confident at work, she could express her ideas clearly, and she was helping her coworkers improve their English too. But Lynn didn't want to stop there. She had a dream to do something bigger, something that could help even more people. One evening, Lynn was sitting at her desk, thinking about her journey with English. She remembered how hard it was in the beginning. She thought, I used to feel so lost and alone. I didn't know where to start or how to improve, but now I see that small steps can lead to big changes. Lynn wanted to share her story with others. She thought, there are many people like me who are struggling to learn English. Maybe I can help them. Maybe I can show them that it's possible to succeed. The idea for a workshop. Lynn decided to organize a workshop about learning English. Her goal was to inspire people and teach them simple methods to practice every day. She wanted the workshop to be fun and easy to understand, even for beginners. Lynn made a list of what the workshop would include. My story, how I started learning English and the challenges I faced. My plan, the steps I followed to improve my English. Tips and activities, fun ways to practice listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Encouragement, reminding everyone that mistakes are okay and progress takes time. Lynn also thought about who could join the workshop. She wanted to invite students, young professionals, and anyone who felt shy about speaking English. She thought, I want this to be a safe and friendly place where people can learn and grow. Getting support. Lynn knew she couldn't organize the workshop alone, so she asked her manager for help. She said, I have an idea for a workshop to help people learn English. Can we use one of the meeting rooms at work? Her manager smiled and said, That's a wonderful idea, Lynn. I'm happy to support you. Let me know what you need. Lynn also talked to her coworkers, Anna and Min. She asked them, Will you help me plan the workshop? We can work together to make it great. Anna said, Of course, Lynn. I'll help with anything you need. Min added, This is a fantastic idea. I'll help spread the word and invite people to join. With the support of her manager and friends, Lynn felt ready to start. Planning the workshop. Lynn worked hard to prepare for the workshop. She created a presentation with colorful slides and simple words. She included pictures and examples to make it interesting. She also prepared some fun activities for the participants. For example, a word matching game where participants matched English words with their meanings. A practice conversation where participants worked in pairs to introduce themselves in English. A listening challenge where Lynn played a short audio clip and asked questions about it. Lynn wanted everyone to feel comfortable and have fun while learning. She thought if they enjoy the workshop, they will want to keep practicing English. The workshop day. The day of the workshop finally arrived. Lynn felt excited but also nervous. She thought, will people like it? Will they feel inspired? When Lynn entered the meeting room, she was surprised to see so many people. Students, young professionals, and even some of her coworkers were sitting and waiting for the workshop to start. Lynn smiled and thought, they came because they want to learn. I will do my best to help them. Lynn began the workshop by sharing her story. She said, a few years ago, I was afraid to speak English. I always worried about making mistakes. But then I decided to change. I made a plan and practiced every day. Little by little, I got better. Next, Lynn taught the group some simple tips for practicing English. She showed them how to listen to podcasts, write short journals, and talk to themselves in English. She said, these are small steps, but if you do them every day, you will improve. The participants listened carefully and took notes. During the activities, they laughed and had fun. Lynn walked around the room, helping them and answering their questions. Positive feedback at the end of the workshop, Lynn asked the participants, "What did you think? Did you learn something new?" One student said, "This workshop was amazing, Lynn. You made English feel less scary." Another participant said, "I love the activities. I will try your tips at home." Hearing these words made Lynn feel happy and proud. She thought, "I wanted to help people, and I did. This is just the beginning." A bigger dream. After the workshop, Lynn started thinking about the future. She thought, what if I can do more? What if I can help even more people learn English? Lynn dreamed of creating a center where people could practice English in a friendly environment. She imagined a place with classes, workshops, and activities for learners of all levels. She shared her dream with Anna and Min. Min said, "That's an incredible idea, Lynn. Let's work together to make it happen." Anna added, "You have already inspired so many people. I know you can do this." Lynn smiled and said, "Thank you. I believe we can make a difference." The journey continues. Lynn's dream was big, but she knew that every journey starts with a single step. She was excited to keep growing, learning, and helping others. She thought, "I used to be afraid of English, but now it is a tool I can use to inspire change. This is only the beginning." Thank you for listening to Lynn's story. Her journey shows us an important lesson. Learning English takes time, practice, and patience, but small steps can lead to big changes. Remember, it's okay to make mistakes and feel nervous. What matters most is to keep trying, just like Lynn did. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Onyx Shadowing English for more inspiring stories and tips to improve your English. See you in the next video, and keep practicing every day.